The Apex of Training and Development Show is the region's newest talk show. We strive to redefine the true meaning of training in different work environments. Tune in every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on CTV Channel 2 and on our Facebook page at The Apex of Training and Development Show. On tonight's episode, we have Cameron Singh, Area General Manager at Signature Flight Support.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Apex of Training and Development. I'm your host, Charian Casimir. On today's episode, we'll be taking you on a journey into strategic management within the aviation industry with our very special guest, Mr. Cameron Singh, a rather dynamic and energetic leader with over 8 years experience at the Signature Flight Support. He'll be providing some much needed insight on strategic management in the aviation industry. Welcome to the Apex of Training and Development. On today's episode, we'll be speaking with Area General Manager of Signature Flight Support, Mr. Cameron Singh, and we'll be discussing strategic management in the aviation industry. I'm your host, Charian Casimir. Welcome. It is an honor to have you on our show, Mr. Singh.
Thank you for having me.
Mr. Singh, what does your role as the Area General Manager entail?
Yeah, so as Area General Manager, I oversee 3 locations here in Antigua, St. Kitts, and Nevis. And what that encompasses is overseeing the operations, everything related to finance, HR, operations, safety, and service. And of course, our most priority, which is our people, taking care of our people.
Great. How would you define strategic management?
So strategic management is all about preparing for the future, doing what you can to help move your team and whatever business you have or manage forward. So that's planning for the future, making adjustments as needed, looking at how you can optimize your revenue and just be a part of what the future has to hold.
And how does your role as the Area General Manager fit into this whole idea of strategic management?
Yeah, so my role as Area GM is to figure out how am I going to make what I have better. It's not about managing what I have, it's about planning for the future. So creating new streams of revenue, finding new ways to keep the team engaged, and that could be anything from just the day-to-day work environment, having different types of team outings that we've never done. For example, last week we just did a boat cruise around Antigua, which is something that we never have done. So it's finding new ways of doing things better to help the location move forward.
Awesome. Why is it so important for organizations to have a strategic plan?
It's important to have a strategic plan because you always want, as I mentioned before, you're not managing what you have, it's about planning for the future. And I feel like if you are just managing what you have, you're not necessarily making things better. Everything is going to remain the same. So what you have to do as a leader is plan for the future and have a vision of where you want your team, your business to go moving forward.
And what are some of the strategies you've employed in order to harness the talent within your organization in order to avoid talent wastage?
Yeah, so one of the initiatives that we started last year was I was tasked to, because I'm currently an expat here living in Antigua, one of our first initiatives was to find someone from the island and train them and take over my role. So that program has been in place for about 1.5 years where I've been training an individual to take over the Area General Manager role, and we'll be transitioning him at the month end. Second initiative that was done company-wide was the launch of a General Manager and Training Program. So that was done company-wide. Out of 30 that got promoted, 2 of the individuals are actually from the Caribbean. One is an individual from our team here in Antigua and one from St. Lucia. And they are going through a rigorous program within the company to prepare them for the General Manager role somewhere within the Signature network.
Wow, we're just getting started. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll continue on the topic of strategic management in the aviation industry. We'll be right back after these messages.
This week's tip of the week, we have Kenyatta Thomas from Signature Flight Support.
Good day, my name is Kenyatta Thomas. I'm the Area Assistant GM here at Signature Flight Support in Antigua. My tip of the week is inclusion. It's very important that we include our team members in the overall decision-making processes since they're the ones doing the brunt of the work. It definitely builds morale and motivates your team. You get more productivity out of your team, and that is my tip of the week. Thank you.
Stay locked in to find out who will be in next week's tip of the week. This episode of the Apex of Training and Development Show was brought to you by the following sponsors.
Thank you for staying locked into the Apex of Training and Development. We're here with our very special guest, Mr. Cameron Singh, discussing strategic management in the aviation industry. Why is strategic management so important within the aviation industry?
Well, the aviation industry is constantly evolving, especially during this COVID-19 times. It's always changing the industry. They're coming out with new aircraft. Airplanes are faster, and the industry is evolving. Especially in our field, more and more individuals are resorting to private aircraft. And as business grows, as the industry evolves, we have to plan for the future. So, for example, one of the things that Signature is working on is we developed a partnership with Uber. Uber is starting to have unmanned helicopters, and we're going to be helping them launch the infrastructure to land helicopters on top of skyscrapers in Manhattan.
Oh.
Yeah.
How has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your strategic plan?
So of course we've had to make various adjustments due to COVID-19. Thankfully, we did not cut salaries for our staff for Signature Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis. We were able to pay them full salaries because throughout this process our focus was to make sure our people did not have to worry about whether or not they'll have money to buy groceries. And so once we ensured that the people were intact, everyone was happy, we paid full salaries, we focused on what we needed to do. So of course we cut back on expenditures, but we found new ways of doing business. We created new streams of revenue for where we could optimize, because of course business is doing very well right now here in Antigua in terms of private jet traffic. So we're finding ways, how can we optimize not only revenues, but how can we create a better experience for our customers that are coming in? Because a lot of these are repeat customers, so we want them to return. So that's what our focus is now.
And how do you maintain your market position?
Well, our market, we are one of the busiest in terms of private jet traffic in the Caribbean. And one of the things that we need is the proper infrastructure. So we do get the business. Of course, we do marketing with Tourism Authority here in Antigua, but now our focus has transitioned to getting a proper FBO terminal building. So one of the things that our plans is for end of next year is to develop a new FBO terminal to have us continue to stand out in the Caribbean region.
And where will the new FBO terminal be? In Antigua? Will it be the main hub for the FBOs in the Caribbean?
Yes, our plan is to develop an FBO terminal that's will be our flagship location in the Caribbean.
How has training and development helped to improve your overall operational efficiency over the years?
Training and development is something that happens here every day within an FBO operation. We have individuals responsible for the technical training, but something that the company has transitioned to is more of that soft skill development. So we've actually launched a partnership with LinkedIn Learning, where all of our team members have access to thousands and thousands of courses in whatever area they want to develop skills in, learn in. We also encourage further professional development. Also, we do a talent review. So we just recently met with every team member in terms of where they want to grow, not only personally but professionally as well. So we're sending a few team members to take computer classes, develop their skills in Word, wherever they need extra help in. Of course, we also support further advancement education as well.
And what impact has this had on your bottom line over the years?
For us, it's been an increase in productivity. One of the things we also have done is cross-train. So we have line service tech and customer service, so cross-training in that field. And it helps the individual be more valuable to the company and vice versa. And also instills more pride and joy in the work environment, where if an employee thinks that they can do more than they are paid to do, and they become more valuable, and then they aspire to grow within the organization and get opportunities such as the General Manager and Training Program and further programs such as that.
Apart from the training and development, what other strategies have you employed as a leader to get your team members to buy into the vision and the mission of Signature Flight Support?
One of the things is employee engagement, and we partner with Gallup to conduct engagement surveys every month for our team. But it's not all about the survey, but it's engagement every day in the work environment. That's one thing that I've learned from training our new area GM is engagement on a day-to-day basis. It's not just revolved around the survey. Simple conversation, and it doesn't have to be about work. Just not being a part of the team. Of course, everyone knows what your position is, and you don't have to tell people, oh yes, I'm your boss. It's all about, do you actually care? Team members can tell whether you're genuine or not. And that you're not taking advantage of them, that you're there for them day in and day out.
And what about the aspect of conflict as a leader? How do you manage conflict within your organization?
One thing about conflict is taking that head on. So that could be if someone is having an issue with a person, you bring in those individuals in the office, have a nice professional conversation. Of course, there will always be conflict in the work environment. You'll never have a perfect work environment. Every work environment has its challenges. But where you can improve your work environment is when you handle conflict. And there's no formula for that. Every case is different. Of course, as a leader, it's very challenging when conflict comes in the work environment. Sometimes you may be involved in that conflict, but it's what you learn out of it, and you make it a positive experience. You never want to be condescending to any team member or any colleague or anyone on your leadership team. It's all about creating that positive experience and helping people get better.
We're going to take a break, Mr. Singh, and when we return, we will discuss more on strategic management in the aviation industry. We'll be right back after these messages.
This episode of the Apex of Training and Development Show was brought to you by the following sponsors.
And we're back. We're at the V.C. Bird International Airport speaking with the Area General Manager of Signature Flight Support, Mr. Cameron Singh. Explain to us how Signature Flight Support evaluates its strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in order to keep abreast on the business, on their competitors, what they're doing.
Yeah, so for the operational leaders at every one of our locations, about a year ago we started this process called OKRs. It's called Objectives and Key Results. So with that process, the base managers or general managers at each of the locations, they are working towards an objective, a specific objective, because as a general manager you're involved in so much. Your responsibility as a general manager encompasses finance, HR, safety, service, and this helps you remain focused. And what this is helping you do, the OKR process, is help you look for new ways of doing business, such as looking at your strengths and weaknesses and where you need to have your location be at on a quarterly basis. So it's a process to help move your operation forward.
And what are some of the challenges you face when trying to evaluate your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats?
I think one of the challenges is when it really affects the team is instilling that change, because of course when change comes to your operation and how the way you do your day-to-day business, team members can become resistant. But it's when you explain why this change is happening, that yes, it's going to help X, Y, and Z get better, then that's how you get your buy-in.
And what have you done to motivate yourself as the leader?
As a leader of this location, a leader of Signature, one thing I try to do is always read. I love reading leadership books. I am also studying leadership currently, and I used to, before COVID, attend leadership conferences and just continue to challenge myself, because I also have areas that I want to work on and want to always strive to do my best as a leader every day, and in every aspect that I lead in, not just being a better leader for Signature, but being a better brother, a son, grandson, get better in every aspect on a personal level as well.
And how has training and development helped you with your leadership goals?
Building character. I think being in a new environment here in Antigua and understanding the culture, it's helped me build character, appreciate a different culture, and appreciate some aspects of life that I probably, living in the States, have taken advantage of in the past.
And what do you intend to take away from this experience of being an area general manager in a different culture in comparison to what you're familiar with?
I think it's really living the present. One thing that I enjoy working with this team is they know how to have fun. And they've really kept it positive, and they've pulled it through during this COVID-19 time. There was very limited negativity. Anytime there's downtime, they'll play soca music in the lobby and start dancing. They're practicing Jerusalem the other day. What kept me positive during the COVID time, because it was a very stressful time, because you don't know what to expect. There's a lot of uncertainty on when the borders were going to open up, when we're going to get business. So just seeing the team appreciate each day that they come into work, they have fun. And that's one thing that I will take back to my next location, wherever that will be, is to enjoy each day and every day.
And that's very inspiring. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we return, we'll continue with Mr. Cameron Singh, Area General Manager of Signature Flight Support. We'll be right back.
This episode of the Apex of Training and Development Show was brought to you by the following sponsors.
And we're back. Thank you for tuning in to the Apex of Training and Development. I'm your host, Cherry and Casimir, and we're discussing strategic management in the aviation industry with Mr. Cameron Singh, Area General Manager of Signature Flight Support. How does Signature Flight Support use its human resources to remain strategically positioned within the aviation industry?
One of the things we focus on is not only technical training, but as I mentioned earlier, overall development. And development does not have to be necessarily leadership development. Could be areas in that the individual can grow in to help them get better at their current position. So one of the things we do is, of course, have manager and training program, and really what is that talent review process when you focus on succession planning is who's going to be your next replacement. So that's kind of the mindset where we're shifting is in terms of succession planning, and that's what we went through the talent review process, is helping people get to where they want to be and how the company can help them grow in the areas that they want to.
And how has the employees embraced the succession plan?
So that process actually just started. So we've completed step one, which is the individual one-on-ones of the talent review, and so that process has just been completed and submitted to HR, and the employees have enjoyed going through that process, but we still have yet to take action on it, so we're still early in the process of that.
What advice would you like to give to leaders who are desirous of starting a strategic management plan but just don't know how to?
I think it's keeping the focus on your people, because if you don't have the focus on your people, you're not going to be the best leader out there. So what are you going to do to help your team work better in a better work environment? So once you have that in place, then you can focus on the business. Are your processes that you have appropriate for the work environment? And then are you able to deliver the proper product? And what further products can you go into? Because there's so much new aspects coming into especially the aviation industry, especially now where aircraft manufacturers are on a boom in making more airplanes. And there's larger airplanes, so what are you going to do to try to optimize and get your business better to be able to meet the needs of the future of aviation?
Thank you, Mr. Singh. It was a pleasure having you on the Apex of Training and Development.
All right, thank you.
And we wish you the utmost best in your future endeavors.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Here we have it. Another riveting and intellectually stimulating episode of the Apex of Training and Development. On behalf of the production team here at the Apex, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of our show. I'm your host, Cherry Casimir.
If you liked tonight's episode and think that your business can benefit from our training and development program, just send us an email at apextraining268@gmail.com or give us a call at 268-726-7184. That's 268-726-7184. Sherry-Ann's Clothing was sponsored by Roxy's Jewelry, Clothing and Things. Sherry-Ann's hair and makeup supplies were sponsored by Beauty Rama Cosmetics, located on Old Palm Road and Redcliffe Street, St. John's, Antigua. On next week's episode of the Apex of Training and Development Show, we'll be discussing customer service and conflict management with Sean Mail, Human Resource Specialist.